everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kristen and I am a travel advisor with Magical Wonders Vacations. I specialize in all things Disney, all-inclusive vacations, and cruise lines. Now in today's video, we're going to focus on Disney and Genie Plus. I got a lot of questions from clients around Genie Plus. Should I buy it? Should I not buy it? Is it worth the price? How much is it going to be? How do I use it? So in this video today, I'm going to give the down and dirty of Genie Plus and try and go over it so that when you are traveling to Disney, you are set up for success. As I would love to go along on vacation with all of my clients, I just can't be there to help you. And the last thing that I want is for somebody to be struggling when they're trying to get their family on rides. Now, the question I get a lot is, can I purchase it with my package? And as of the time of the filming of this video, April 2024, the answer is no. Genie Plus cannot be added on to your resort and your ticket package. When you buy it is you either wait till midnight, the day you're going to the park, or any time before 7 a.m. So again, you can stay up late and purchase it right at midnight, the day that you're going to a park, or you want to make sure that you're up prior to 7 a.m. and purchasing it because that 7 a.m. time is when you can book your first ride with Genie Plus. So again, in order to make the most, you want to make sure that it's purchased prior to 7 a.m. Second thing, how much is this going to cost me? What should I budget? Again, unfortunately, I can't give you the exact amount that it will be for your trip, but I can give you a ballpark figure. For example, when we were down last August, it was around $15 to $24 per person, depending on the day, depending on the park. And then we were there this past February of 2024, it was a little higher. It was around $19 to $27 per person per park. Now, I just helped a client who went over Easter, spring break, and Genie Plus peaked at $39 for Magic Kingdom or for a multi-park Genie Plus experience. So what I like to tell clients, figure anywhere from $20 to $39. Now, if you're not traveling around holidays or a really popular time, chances are it will not be $39. But budget for the worst, and then when it's not, you have a little extra spending money that you had already budgeted into your vacation package. So you've decided to purchase Genie Plus. You're on vacation. Your first park day is tomorrow. You can either wake up at midnight or be up before 7 a.m. Normally what I try to do is if I wake up in the middle of the night, I'll just go on really quick and I'll purchase it. I'll have a video up above that is showing you exactly the steps that go into purchasing Genie Plus. You can have a credit card linked, or I believe mine was Apple Pay when we did it. So it's super easy, takes 30 seconds to purchase. And then you can either go back to sleep, or like I said, you can wake up at around 6:30 just to make sure you get it, everything's set up, and you're ready for 7 a.m. Now, another thing I want to discuss before we get into the actual what do you do first now that you've purchased it. There are a couple different options with Genie Plus. So you've selected Genie Plus, you've selected either the park that you're going to be in for the day, or if you're park hopping, you can have a multiple park experience. Now, from what I've seen, that multiple park experience will usually be the same price as your Magic Kingdom Genie Plus. So if you are going to Magic Kingdom, for example, you can have your first Genie Plus ride. There are individual lightning lanes. So there are going to be rides in each of the 4 parks that are usually your big attractions. So in Magic Kingdom, it's going to be Tron Light Cycle Run. It's going to be Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. In Hollywood Studios, it's going to be Rise of the Resistance. In Epcot, it's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. And in Animal Kingdom, it's going to be Avatar Flight of Passage. So if those rides are of interest to you, you do not have to purchase Genie Plus to purchase those rides. You can purchase them individually. hence the name individual lightning lane. Now, again, those are fluctuating in what those prices are per day. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is usually around $10 to $12 per person. Something like Tron might be $20 a person. Same with Avatar, Flight of Passage. Those can be $20 per person. So you just kind of have to factor that in as well if those are rides that you want to do. The other option is a virtual queue. So as of now, the rides that are virtual queue would be Tron and would be Guardians of the Galaxy. So all of these things you can book at 7 a.m. Now you're thinking, how do I do all three of those at the same time if I need a virtual queue ride, an individual lightning lane ride, and a Genie Plus ride? First, the best advice I can give is if you are traveling with somebody that also has a phone and has downloaded the My Disney Experience app, you can both be logged in under the same account at the same time, but doing two different selections. So for me and my husband, I'm on and I might be booking our first Genie Plus ride right at 7 a.m. and he is on doing our virtual queue for Tron. Now, he's secured that. I've secured our first Genie Plus ride. The next thing I would do would be to go in and do an individual lightning lane for, say, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Now, if for some reason he would not get the virtual queue for Tron, I then have the option to purchase an individual lightning lane to ride that ride, or another virtual queue will open up at 1 p.m. The only caveat with that is you have to physically be in that park at 1 p.m. in order to join that next virtual queue. Now, the only thing I will warn with virtual queues and banking on that 1 p.m. time slot to get, if the ride is down for a significant amount of time, sometimes that 1 p.m. virtual queue does not open, because if it's down for hours, they need to get all of those guests that joined at 7 a.m. on the virtual queue or who purchased the individual lightning lanes. They need to get all of those guests on the ride, so they might not open up that 1 p.m. queue. So if it is a ride that you have to do and you're only visiting that park once during your trip, if you can't get the virtual queue at 7 a.m., purchase the ride with an individual lightning lane. Now, if you're having to book all of this yourself and you're thinking, how in the world am I going to do this? What order is the best to do this in? If you're at a park that has a virtual queue, an individual lightning lane, and Genie Plus, you're going to want to do the virtual queue first. That is your top priority. The next is immediately go to book your first Genie Plus ride, and then you would book the individual lightning lane. The virtual queue is going to fill up first, and then you're able to book your Genie Plus ride. You'll be able to modify it. So that's kind of your second priority. And then your last would be purchasing that individual lightning lane. Those do not get booked up in the first 3 minutes from 7 to 7:03 in the morning. You're going to have plenty of time to do that. That is why I say use that as your last resort if you're only one person trying to book all of these things for your first park day. Now, how do you decide which Genie Plus ride you want to be your first one in the park? Now, I'll have links below on kind of a tiered system for each of the parks. So for Magic Kingdom, Tier 1 will have your heavy hitters, meaning the rides that if you wait later on the day and try to get a Genie Plus lane for them, they're not going to be there anymore. So those rides would be your Jungle Cruise, Peter Pan, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Space Mountain. They're kind of at a level 2, but again, I'll post those links down below so you can have an idea of which ones would go pretty quickly. What we like to do is we like to book Jungle Cruise first at 7 a.m. and then familiarize yourself with the park. So you're not going from this side of you're not going from Adventureland over to Tomorrowland, back to Frontierland. You can kind of navigate your way around the park so you're not exhausting yourself going from one end to the other and bouncing back and forth like a ping pong ball all day. Now, you're all set up. You booked your first Genie Plus ride. You have your virtual queue or your individual lightning lane all ready to go. So At 7 a.m., you might have 3 rides already ready to go by the time you enter the park. Now, when do you book your next one? So if you booked your first ride at 7 a.m., you can either book it 2 hours after the park opens to the general public. So the reason I say that is if you're staying on property at Disney resorts, you usually get in 30 minutes prior to anybody else getting into the park. So if Magic Kingdom opens at 9 a.m., you're able to get into 8:30. You're able to book your next Genie Plus ride 2 hours after the park opens. So it opened to everybody at 9, meaning you could book your next ride at 11. If you look in the app, it will always show you the next time that you can book a ride. So you can either set a reminder on your phone, or if you're always in the app, you can always check to make sure you know the next time that you can book. Now, a little tip. Why I would want you to book your first ride right at 7 a.m. is because that gives you the best opportunity to get a great first early morning time slot. So if I booked Jungle Cruise and my return time is 9:20, that's amazing because I get to the park at 8:30. I could ride Pirates of the Caribbean, which is right around Jungle Cruise. I could get there at rope drop, ride that ride first, immediately get in line at 9:20 and tap in to Jungle Cruise. Now, what I mean by tapping in is if you have a Magic Band or you're using your phone, you're going to have to tap a kiosk or a tablet that the cast member has to basically check in that you're at the ride. So if I did that at 9:20, I can now book my next ride. I don't have to wait those 2 hours. It's whatever comes first. So that's where Genie Plus strategy comes into play. So I got into the park at 8:30 for early morning hours. I might have gotten a Starbucks or a Joffrey's coffee. I rode a ride. I got to Jungle Cruise. Now you have an hour time slot, so you would have between 9:20 and 10:20. But if you tap in at 9:20, you can immediately book your next ride. So it's 9:20. You can look on the app as you're navigating through the line queue to get on the ride, and you could book Big Thunder Mountain Railroad and kind of navigate through the park that way. So your best strategy is to get that next available time slot for the ride that you want, and you can really rock it through those Genie Plus rides. A great feature that Disney has released for Genie Plus that wasn't out when it first came out in, I believe that was October of 2021, is a modify feature. This feature is phenomenal. You used to have, if you saw a better time pop up for the ride that you were waiting on, you would have to cancel your current Genie Plus selection. And by the time you got back in to select it again, that time slot was gone. So there's now a modify feature, which I'll show a video above. You click the 3 dots, you go to modify, and you refresh your screen. You can keep refreshing, and as soon as you see a better time pop up, you can select that and you're on that ride faster. Now, I will say there's a slight delay from when you click the confirm button to when you would actually see the screen, and sometimes Genie Plus can get you and you don't get that available time. Keep trying. Now, the frustration with this would be you're on your phone more. You're constantly modifying for a better time. I usually like to do it if we're sitting down, we're eating a snack. If you are waiting in a 5-minute wait to get on a ride at one of your Genie Plus lanes, I've usually been successful within 5 minutes of modifying. So it is worth it if you get bummed because maybe it's 9:20, you want Big Thunder Mountain Railroad next, and it's already out until 1 p.m. You don't want to wait that long. If you stand there and you modify, chances are you're going to get an earlier time slot because everybody else that has purchased Genie Plus is doing the same thing you're doing. They're going in, they're booking, they're modifying, and then that's when you're able to snatch another ride. There have been so many times where we've gone through the park and we've wanted to do maybe a big ticket ride that we hadn't gotten to yet, and it will tell me that there's no more Genie Plus lanes available for the day. I sit there for a little bit, I modify, one pops up. So it really truly can work to your advantage if you just spend a little bit of time modifying and being strategic about it. Now, at this point in the video, you're still probably wondering, why would I want to do this? It sounds very complicated. How am I really going to navigate this, especially if this is your first time coming to a Disney park? It can be very overwhelming. You don't know where to go. You're staring at a map, or you're staring at the map on your phone. It will be frustrating for the first couple times that you book, but I promise you, after that, you'll get in the swing of things. You will see, oh yeah, that's how I did it. Wow, that worked. Wow, the line to get on the ride was 100 minutes and we stood for 5 minutes. Look at all this time we have back. And you will thank yourself by the time 3 o'clock rolls around and you have toddlers who are cranky and they need a rest and you want to go back to the hotel. Let's face it, you're probably tired at this point too, but you can feel accomplished that you've done a ton of rides in that time frame when the standby lines were so long that maybe the people who chose to not purchase Genie Plus were waiting in line all that time. And then you can go back to the hotel, you can get refreshed, and you can still make it back for the fireworks. And you're not exhausted from standing in line all day and trying to wait there to see the fireworks at night. Now, Genie Plus has gotten a bad rap over the last couple years because if you went to Disney when you were younger, you remember the old ticket fast pass days where you got in the park and you ran to your favorite ride and the ticket came out and that's what you used to get back in line. And then you would go and get another one. And usually you could get about 3 to 5 rides a day if you were good. And then pre-COVID, we could book them 60 days in advance and you got 3 at a time per park and it was free. So a lot of the flack is the service is no longer free. It can get a little complicated, but just to give you a comparison, now we live close to Hershey Park and we go there quite a bit. We go there in the evenings to avoid the crowds because just like Disney, it can get super packed on the weekends and during the summer. Hershey Park has their own version of Genie Plus, but their service, you can just go up to the ride attractions that are listed with the service and you get right on the ride. There's no booking, there's no scheduling involved, so it's pretty easy to use, but I will say that can be $99 to $150 per person depending on the day of the week or the time of year. So that's on top of your ticket to get into the park, so it can be pretty pricey. Now in comparison to a park down in Florida, comparable to Disney, Universal. Again, kind of the same as Hershey Park. You can buy their Express Pass, and there are 2 levels of Express Pass. So you can have one that you get on the attractions that you're able to use Express Pass for 1 time per day, or you can buy the unlimited Express Pass, which say you ride Escape from Gringotts or Velocicoaster, and you want to go back on again, you can get right back in line and use that Universal Express Pass again. However, also comes with a pretty steep price tag, anywhere from $99 to $250 for that unlimited, again, on top of your theme park ticket. So while it's great, it's easy, there's no thinking, you just walk right up the Express Pass lane, it does come with a pretty hefty price tag. So being able for Disney to have prices at its peak, $39 or less per person, it's kind of worth it to figure it out and really know how to utilize the service because the cost is a lot less than, say, your Hershey Park or your Universal. Now, with that being said, with the Universal Unlimited Express Pass, I had mentioned that you could go on rides multiple times. With Genie Plus, you can ride that ride once with selecting it with Genie Plus. Now, that doesn't mean that you get on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, you use your Genie Plus Lightning lane to get on the ride, that doesn't mean that you can't go in the standby lane and wait in line as well. So you can ride the rides as many times per day as you want, but you can only ride the ride one time with your Genie Plus lane. There's one additional thing I'd like to go over. If you edit my selections and you click Start Now, this will allow you to put your favorite rides at the top. You select the day you're going to be at the park and which park you're going to be at. It'll summon your family and friends linked to your account, and then it'll bring up all of the attractions. If you select the one, so if you put a check mark by your favorite selection, they are going to always be at the top. So when you're using that modify feature, this is going to become very important for you, as when you want to modify, those are the options that's going to be at the top. So you're not going to have to scroll in alphabetical order if you want Space Mountain all the way to the bottom. You can always put in here any dining experiences, any character interactions, any other thing of interest to you will be right at the top, so you don't have to go searching for it. Now, as you can see here, all of the attractions that I had as my favorites are going to be at the top. So even at 7 a.m., it's going to be helpful that those attractions that I want first will be right there. That is our down and dirty recap of how to use Genie Plus. Obviously, there's a lot more involved with it. You know, if you're going from one park to another during the day, you want to make sure that you purchase that multi Genie Plus experience, and then you can navigate between the two. But just wanted to give an overview, let you know that you can successfully do this. It doesn't have to be frustrating. It doesn't have to be scary. And please reach out with any questions you have on Genie Plus. I'd be happy to answer. And please like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps. And let me know what other videos you would like to see. What help do you need when you're trying to plan and navigate either Disney, cruise lines, all-inclusives? I can help with any of those. Thanks so much.